Hello, welcome to another fantasy football tournament series number 92. This is Euro 2020, but with women's European national teams. So all you see here are the six groups that have been confirmed for the Euro 2020 draw for the tournament next summer. But I wanted to go ahead and predict this tournament, how it would unfold with the same groups, the same teams, but with women's teams instead. This is only the second women's fantasy football tournament I've made, and this is going on 92 videos now, so I figured it was time for another one. Also really interesting to see how some of the men's senior teams of these countries compare to their female counterparts. Now, we don't know the four playoff teams, just like in the men's Euro 2020 draw, so I went ahead and looked at the teams that would be the most likely in the women's game to come through the playoffs and qualify, and those being in the groups C through F, Belarus from League D. The League D teams for women's are not very strong. I think Georgia, Kosovo don't play very many games. Macedonia as well. So Belarus is kind of here by default into Group C. Norway was the easiest pick from League C, because Norway is a sort of second-tier side in European women's football. They were World Cup champions back in 1995. They got to the quarterfinals in 2019, so that was an easy pick. From League B, Bosnia-Herzegovina, they're just not much of a force in women's football. Slovakia is not a bad side, but they're not particularly strong. Northern Ireland is very poor, so I went with the Republic of Ireland, who finished in like a respectable third or fourth in qualifying with 13 points. I think they're by far and away the best team of those four. And from League A, between Iceland, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria, I went with Iceland here. They finished second in their Women's World Cup qualifying group behind Germany. They did not qualify for the last Women's World Cup, but they finished with a very venerable, honorable 17 points. So I think Iceland would come through that. And I put those four teams, Belarus, Norway, Republic of Ireland, Iceland, all in the spots in which they've been drawn. And this is basically Euro 2020, but with women's national teams. Taking everything into account, everything's the same, including the host venues. So it's a pan-European tournament hosted in the same 12 cities as the one that's going to be hosted in just a few months' time. So, Italy versus Turkey in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, that's still a thing as well. Same exact bracket for the knockout rounds, the final four games being hosted in Wembley, etc. And as far as the four best third-place teams, that's determined through the same exact bracket through Wikipedia on the actual Euro 2020 tournament itself. Let's jump right in. I'm not going to predict every single game. I think it's going to be way too long. I'm just going to tell you who will come through and with however number of points. So, in Group A, Italy, Turkey, Wales, and Switzerland. I think Italy, who reached the quarterfinals of the most recent Women's World Cup, will top the group with 9 points. Switzerland will come in second on 6 points. They were in the 2015 World Cup and missed out on this World Cup in the playoffs to the Netherlands, who were the eventual runners-up. So they came close to qualifying, but they fell short. In third, I'm going to go with Wales on 3 points. Switzerland's on 6. And Turkey in last on 0. Turkey not really known for their women's football. So Turkey is out. Italy and Switzerland are through. Wales on 3 points have to await their fate. In Group B, there's no real powerhouse in this group. Belgium, Russia, and Denmark and Finland are all within more or less the same level as each other. They're all fairly decent sides. Second, maybe third tier teams in women's European football. They haven't qualified for the World Cup in a while. Denmark, I don't think, has ever been, but they all did relatively well in qualifying, so I think this group would be wide open. I'm going to go with Denmark to top this group on 7 points for the reason that they finished as runners-up in the UEFA Women's 2017 European Championship. They lost to the Dutch, so they must be a good team. Second, I'm going to go with Belgium, who made it to the playoffs for the World Cup but did not qualify. Third, I'm going to go with Russia. And then I'm going to go with Finland in last. but I could see this group taking points all off each other, that it only sends 2 teams to the next round for that very reason. Denmark with 7, Belgium with 5, Russia with 2, Finland with 1. Finland is out. Russia is on 2 points. Denmark and Belgium go through. Group C, Ukraine, Netherlands, Austria, Belarus. No surprises here. The current European champions and World Cup runners-up finish on top with 9 points. I'm going to go with Austria to come in second on 6 points. Ukraine to come in third on 3 points. Belarus in last on 0 points. So Ukraine and Belarus... Belarus is out. Ukraine's on 3 points, though. Let's see here. You know what? Actually, I would go with Austria and Ukraine to draw each other and both finish on 4 points. There's not very much separating them. You hear a dripping noise. It's my dog drinking water. So they'll both finish on 4 points, I think, which will put Ukraine in decent position to be one of the best third-place teams. But Netherlands and Austria go through. Group D, England, Croatia, Czech Republic, and Norway. Very relatively easy group for both England and Norway, but a little bit of history between the English and the Norwegians. England will top the group with 7 points, as will Norway. I think they'll both beat the Czechs and the Croats, but England will finish on superior goal differential. Czech Republic will come in third. Their women's team is better than the Croatian team. They're one of the more better Eastern European teams, the Czech Republic, but they're still not a strong team. But they'll finish with 3 points, and I think Croatia will finish with 0 points, and Croatia will be out. England and Norway go through. Czech Republic to the third-place teams. Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Ireland. Again, 2 very clear favorites here, Spain and Sweden. I rate Sweden higher than Spain, but I'm going to say Spain and Sweden will draw. And Spain were so dominant in qualifying, I think they'll have the goal differential edge over Sweden. So just like the group with England and Norway, I also see this group being 7 points, and goal differential being the tiebreaker. Spain and Sweden go through. And Poland and the Republic of Ireland, they're not really that great teams, guys. I think they'll draw each other, and then they'll lose to Spain and Sweden. Both will finish on 1 point, and it's extraordinarily likely both of them will fail to advance. But who technically finishes ahead first? Ireland finishes ahead. They had a better qualifying than Poland did. Poland will in last. Ireland need a miracle to make it. They go to the third-place slot. In Group F, we have Iceland, Portugal, France, and Germany. France, the World Cup hosts. One of the best teams in Europe, for my money. Probably a top 3 side in Europe. Might have won the World Cup had they not met the U.S. so early in the quarterfinals. They top this group with 9 points. Germany, always a powerhouse in women's football. They come in second with 6 points. I do think France has finally surpassed Germany. I do. Third is Iceland. Iceland on 3 points. They are sort of a rising team in women's football. They didn't have enough to make it to the playoffs, but they came deathly close to it. And then last is Portugal. Not much of a footballing culture in the Portuguese women's game, with Portugal with 0 points. So Portugal is out. Let's go through, and France and Germany are through to the next round. Let's look at the third-place teams. We have Wales. Wales with 3 points. Russia with 2 points. Ukraine with 4 points. Czech Republic with 3 points. Ireland with 1 point. The Republic of Ireland. Iceland with 3 points. Well, that means Russia and the Republic of Ireland are out, because they have 2 and 1 point respectively. And Wales, who has 3, Ukraine, who has 3, Czech Republic has, Ukraine has 4, Czech Republic, who has 3, and Iceland have 3. These teams go through. Now, based on the bracket on Wikipedia, I'm not making this stuff up, folks, we have the winner of Group B versus the third-place team of Group F, which is Denmark and Iceland. We have the winner of Group A, Italy, versus the third place team from Group C, which is Austria. We have the winner of Group F, France, versus Wales. We have Norway versus Sweden, an all-Scandinavian clash. Oh boy. The runner-up of Group D versus the runner-up of Group E, Norway, Sweden. I would watch that game, definitely. We have, on the other side of the bracket, which seems a little bit tougher, England, winners of Group D, versus Germany. Ooh, the runners-up of Group F. Wow. These two teams met in the third-place game of 2015, where England were victorious and won the bronze medal that year. England also reached the semifinals this year as well. They finished in fourth behind Sweden. And then we have the winners of Group C, which is the Netherlands. This is a very, very top-heavy side of the bracket already. Netherlands versus the Czech Republic, who is the third-place finisher from Group D. I missed Spain versus Ukraine. Spain, the winners of Group E, would play the runners-up of Group C. So I'll move this down a little. Spain versus Ukraine. So let's see here. Yep. And then we have Netherlands, Czech Republic. And the final game in the round of 16 would be the runners-up of Group A versus the runner-up of Group B, which is Switzerland versus Belgium. So one of those teams guaranteed to go to the next round. All right, so round of 16 for the Women's Euros with men's Euro 2020 teams. Denmark versus Iceland. I think it's a wide open match, but I'm going to go with Denmark to win that. Italy versus Austria. Italy will win. France versus Wales. France wins. Ooh, Norway versus Sweden. I'm going to go with Sweden to win this match over their rivals. Spain versus the Ukraine. Spain wins that. England versus Germany. I think Germany's dominance. You look, they've won every women's European championship between, I think, 1995 and 2017, until that trend was broken by the Dutch. I think Germany are finally, in the last few years, having their hegemony in Europe challenged. I'm going with England to win this match. Germany were propped up as one of the favorites for the World Cup. They lost out in the quarterfinals earlier than they should have to a very stubborn Swedish team. Going back to the World Cup in 2011, Women's World Cup hosted in Germany, they were upended by Japan. I think Germany has some real world competition nowadays. Netherlands versus the Czech Republic. Netherlands win that. Switzerland versus Belgium. One of them have to get to the next round. I'm going to go with Switzerland based on experience. So the quarterfinals, Denmark versus Italy. These are not necessarily the 8 best teams in women's Europe. I would think Switzerland are probably not a top 8 team, but that is just how the bracket is, ladies and gentlemen. So we have Denmark versus Italy, France versus Sweden, Spain versus England, and the Netherlands versus Switzerland. Well, Rai Italia. Italy is getting to the semifinals. Topped their group in the World Cup. I think they were eliminated by the eventual finalists, the Dutch, in the World Cup. Pretty solid, decent team. France versus Sweden. France is a more talented team on paper. I think Sweden has the tools within their arsenal to get a victory here, but I'm going to say France will win this match. Sweden out. Spain versus England. England will go through. Netherlands, Switzerland, just like in the playoffs, Netherlands go through. So the semifinals of Euro 2020 with women's national teams, I have Italy versus France and the Netherlands versus England. I'm going to go with France to beat the Italians and reach the final. And the Netherlands versus England. This is a very tough one to call. I know the Netherlands are European champions right now. As someone that watched the US's games against these three teams that we beat in the quarters, semis, and final, I'm not throwing shade at the Dutch or whatever, but the final was not as difficult as the games against England and France, and even against Spain. I thought Spain gave the US a more difficult time than the Netherlands did, because by the 55th minute in the final, the Dutch were completely gassed. And if Alex Morgan's finishing was a little more pristine, it could have gotten the scoreline could have gotten ugly. I think Van Veenendaal, Dutch keeper, world class in the women's game. She kind of kept the Dutch alive throughout that match. You look at the bracket, the Netherlands. Yes, they are among the best teams in Europe, but they kind of had a not very challenging path, in my view, en route to the final, and they've been a little inconsistent at times. They had to qualify through the playoffs for the World Cup. I think England here can beat the Netherlands. I think that the gap between these two is almost negligible. You could flip a coin, and either one would be a reasonable answer. I'm going to go with England to beat the Netherlands here. Yeah. I think England would beat the Netherlands. And then we have the third place game. The third place game is Italy versus the Netherlands. A rematch of the World Cup quarterfinals. Does Italy get revenge? No, they do not. They will finish fourth instead. The Dutch will finish with the bronze. And then the final, with women's European national teams, I have France versus England. France has had England's number in the last two Women's World Cups. They eliminated them in 2011 on penalties. They beat them in the group stages in 2015, a group that ended up being the group of death where they both lost a game. So France versus England here in the final. This also can go either way. You can make a very strong case for France, England, or the Netherlands to win this tournament. If you picked any of those three teams, or even someone like Germany or Sweden, it would be perfectly reasonable. I'm going to say England. The three Lionesses will win this because you take into account. I just realized until now, the semis and the final are both being played in London and Wembley. I think that gives England the edge, as will hosting the Women's European Championship in 2021. Perhaps if this was hosted elsewhere in France or even in the Netherlands, I give the French or the Dutch the sort of the go-ahead. But England women's team gets to the semis and they're playing their last two games at home, just like for the men's in the European Championship. I think they can feasibly win the tournament. So I'm going to go with England. Am I going to pick the three Lionesses to win the final in Wembley against France? I'm not. One of France's major weaknesses is that despite being possibly the best team in Europe on their day, they fail to rise to the occasion in tournaments. They just do. They sold themselves short in the most recent Olympic Games in 2016 and in 2012. They surprised everyone in 2011 when they sort of came into the fore, announcing their their presence on the women's stage 8 years ago. But they don't go as far in tournaments as they should, and they don't seal the deal. So I'm going to go with the three Lionesses to win this tournament. England wins the tournament in Wembley, in front of a sold-out crowd, whatever the capacity of Wembley Stadium is, 90,000, 80,000. England wins Euro 2020 with women's national team. So England in first, France in second, the Netherlands in third, Italy in fourth. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. God willing. Until then, have a good one. Peace out. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye.